Hey guys, this is the Sports Hub. I'm Connor O'Gara. We've got a loaded show that we want to get to today. We have conference tournament talk, FKC, LPC action. I'm going to ask one big question for both the boys and girls tournaments. We have Coach's Corner interview with Axtell girls coach Kelly Cooksley. We have a Sports Hub call of the week with one of the best rivalries in central Nebraska. That's Kearney High and Grand Island. But before we get to any of that stuff, we talk 3 stars. And the first star, Kelsey Stidham with Kearney High. She had 19 points in a victory against Omaha Marion last week, a 58-24 victory. And yeah, Stidham had 19 points in that one, but it was what she did on the defensive end that was really special. Held leading scorer Cassie Jones to just 2 points in that game. It was all over her. Kearney High really dominated that game defensively in the second half. Held Omaha Marion to 6 second half points. That's pretty incredible. Stidham, obviously a big reason why. Bearcats have won 5 in a row, just the team rolling right now in the second semester. And then the second star, Emily Reyes. How about the performance that she had against Holdridge? Arguably the biggest win for Cozad rather, maybe biggest regular season win in a long time. To take down Holdridge, Class B school that's been to state 10 straight years. Reyes had 16 points in that one and was the difference for Cozad. Haymakers right now got to be feeling really good after a victory like that. Hard not to. I mean, that's about as good as it gets for regular season victories. And then speaking of Cozad, well, Cozad on the other side of this one, Trevor McCune of Lexington, unbelievable buzzer-beating shot to absolutely stun the Haymakers. He had 24 points and 11 rebounds and a victory against Cozad last week. Usually we don't highlight 3 stars from a Thursday game that's a week ago, but his performance was just too special. Just a kid that was absolutely feeling in the moment, told his guys in the huddle down 1 with 6 seconds left. He's like, guys, I got this. I'm gonna be able to hit this shot. Put your confidence in me, and sure enough, he hits a 16-footer over Connor Young to win that one. Just dramatic fashion. Talk about great rivalries. That's really what this show is all about today. Great rivalries, great moment. Hasn't been the best year for Lexington, but McCune and the Minutemen are not forgetting that one anytime soon. The LouPlatte Conference Tournament is kicking off next week. My one big question for the boys tournament, can Wood River avenge that loss to Adams Central? Yeah, Wood River is sitting right now with the 2 seed. As of before Thursday, they've won 6 in a row. Obviously playing really good basketball coming into this tournament. Adams Central in Class B right now has had a really good season. They're the top seed in the LPC tournament. And if those 2 teams are able to face off, can Wood River avenge that early season loss? That was a 6-point loss, an early season game, and you don't want to look too much into those early season games. First couple weeks, guys are still figuring things out, still maybe a little bit rusty from football. And I just think this is a Wood River team right now that's playing so well. I talked about the ball movement that they have with Nate Baugh and have Jaime Rojas. The guys that they have on the perimeter too really make that team special. And I think one that could definitely surprise a few teams down the stretch and in the postseason. If they can get a victory against Adams Central, that's going to be a really good sign of things to come for the Eagles. My one big question for the girls, can anyone slow down Kearny Catholic? This is a question I've asked all year, but especially in the LPC tournaments where the number 2 seed Centura lost to Kearny Catholic by 23. And actually that's kind of a close game for Kearny Catholic, but the Stars really need to play more close games. They really don't have that late game experience that you need in the postseason because you're not going to be able to beat every team by 40 and 50 points. And I know Rick Petrie wants to get into those closer games, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind seeing his team get pushed a little bit and just to see the way that they respond because, you know, you need to be able to see who's going to be able to step up and take those big shots down the stretch. If a player can hit a clutch free throw, if you can have good quality possessions in the half court. These things are so important come postseason time. The Stars can run through the LPC like the way that they've run through it in the regular season. Who knows? This could just be one of those things that Petrie keeps thinking about. Can the Stars really get tested? The Fort Kearny Conference Tournament kicking off next week. Everybody's goal is to be able to get to the Bureau Event Center, play in that championship game. My one big question for the boys is how will those top 3 seeds work themselves out? Number 1 seed Wilcox-Hildreth has lost to Axtell. That was their first loss of the year. Axtell got beat pretty badly early in the season by Amherst. Amherst hasn't lost to any of those teams, and Amherst is sitting there with the number 2 seed, Axtell the number 3 seed. What exactly is going to play out? This is really interesting, I think, with these top 3 teams, just because I do think that they're pretty even. I think Amherst right now might be playing the best basketball of anybody in this conference overall, but at the same time, you know, they haven't necessarily had to have that showdown against Wilcox-Hildreth yet. Could those two teams face off in the championship? I don't know. I think that'd be really interesting. I think this is an Amherst team that's capable of beating almost anybody in D1 right now. I've talked about them before, the way that they can get up and down the floor and just push the tempo so much with the Eckouts, and of course with Taubenheim and Adelung and Hadwig are playing really well right now. That's just a team clicking on all cylinders. Only one loss coming into this tournament. That's pretty good. Can the Broncos run the table, or will these top three teams have even more mix up? It's going to be interesting to see. You know, a few weeks ago I was doing a Sports Hub Call of the Week, and I said Axtell needs to be able to get the ball to the inside. That's got to be their focus. They got to be able to use the advantage they have with Hannah Kring and Sophie Melma. And you know, Kelly Cooksley comments, and he said to me, you know, our biggest key is defense. He just flat out said that that's the thing that they got to be able to focus on, and he's exactly right. His team has won 7 of 8 coming into this tournament and just playing really, really well right now defensively. Only lost to a really good Arapahoe team. And this is a team right now that gets the #1 seed in the FKC tournament. And if they can keep playing defense like that, it's probably going to be their tournament to lose. So I actually got a chance to catch up with Cooksley in this edition of Coach's Corner.
I think, you know, defense, a lot of it is playing hard. And I think our kids are really starting to realize that they need to play hard defensively in order to be successful defensively. And, you know, we really challenged our kids after the Kennesaw game that we lost and said, you know, we're not going to beat any good teams until we get better defensively. And, you know, some teams might take that and fold a little bit, but credit to these girls, they wanted to get better defensively. And, you know, we've really improved in that aspect of just playing hard for 32 minutes. You know, last year I told our girls, Pleasanton knocked off Will Hill, who was the #1 seed, and you know, we're going to either see Loomis or Sumner, and they both have very good players and scorers. And you know, if we don't prepare well, you know, we can get beat. But you know, it was a point of emphasis to get that #1 seed and get a first-round home game. You know, I challenged our girls earlier this year by, you know, asking one of the last time we had hosted a first-round FKC game, and none of them could come up with an answer, and I couldn't either. So, you know, it's been a while, but you know, we're excited about it. But we know we're going to have to play our best game to get to the Bureau Event Center.
As I said earlier, for our Sports Hub Call of the Week, we're going to talk about one of the great rivalries, not only in central Nebraska, but I think in the state of Nebraska, and that's Kearney High and Grand Island boys squaring off again for the second time in a couple weeks. That showdown a couple weeks ago in Grand Island, throwback night, playing in that old gym, and it was a slugfest. It was 32-32 after regulation. Grand Island ends up winning that game 41-34, a game that the Bearcats probably should have had, and they probably regret not being able to close it out late. But the reason that they weren't able to get that offense going, I thought inside, was because of Chol Beal, the center for Grand Island, and he was just such a difference maker. And a game where the Bearcats really couldn't get going from outside, and they had to rely a little bit more on that inside presence. I think at home and you know, with their own rims, I think they're going to be able to shoot the ball a little bit better. I think they're going to be able to kind of get their legs under them, and it's not going to be maybe the slugfest that first one was. I still think this is a great close game. I think Grand Island puts together a really good effort down the stretch and forces Kearney High to maybe make a play or two, make a big shot down the stretch. Something that they've been lacking a little bit lately with all these overtime losses. But I just think the Bearcats come out on top in this one and win this 52-50. We talked today about the FKC and the LPC tournaments, but we've also been out covering the RPAC tournaments and the SWC tournaments. Make sure you're keeping up with all of our coverage for that. Coaches, athletic directors in the area, if you have kids signing next Wednesday as part of National Signing Day, make sure you are emailing us a list. That's sports@kearneyhub.com. We want to make sure that we get those in the paper. So from the Sports Hub, this has been Connor O'Gara. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.